description she does of the Portland hospital, the birth, that was completely fabricated. We all know the first interview was given to see.
The royal family is facing another storm, and this one may be among the most explosive yet. For years, rumors, speculation, and conspiracy theories surrounding Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lilibet have circulated online. Most of them faded away. Some gained traction before disappearing. But now, a new wave of controversy has erupted after comments linked to royal commentators Tom Bower and Lady C reignited discussions that many believed had already been settled. According to reports and social media reactions, demands for answers regarding long-debated DNA and parentage claims have once again exploded into public conversation, leaving royal fans stunned and critics divided. The backlash was immediate. Supporters of Prince Harry accused commentators of crossing a line. Critics argued that unanswered questions naturally fuel speculation. Social media turned into a battlefield almost overnight. Videos went viral. Comment sections exploded. Royal experts weighed in. And suddenly, the focus wasn't on royal duties, palace events, or future plans. It was on a deeply personal controversy that many believe should never have resurfaced in the first place. According to observers, what makes this situation so dramatic is not simply the claims themselves, but the reaction they triggered. Because if there's one thing Prince Harry has made clear over the years, it's that he fiercely protects his family. That's why many royal watchers believe this latest controversy may have touched one of the most sensitive issues imaginable. Now fans are asking the same question. How did the situation escalate so quickly? Why are Tom Bower and Lady C suddenly at the center of another royal firestorm? And could this latest controversy create an even bigger divide between the Sussex camp and their critics? Because according to insiders, the fallout may only be beginning. The latest controversy surrounding Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lilibet didn't begin with an official palace statement. It didn't start with a royal appearance. And it certainly didn't begin with a major announcement from Buckingham Palace. Instead, according to royal commentators and social media observers, the entire storm erupted after discussions involving long-running speculation were once again brought into the spotlight by remarks associated with Tom Bower and Lady C. Within hours, what might have remained a niche royal debate transformed into a full-scale media firestorm. The reaction was immediate. Royal supporters were furious. Critics became more vocal. YouTube channels exploded with commentary. Social media timelines filled with heated arguments. And suddenly one of the most sensitive topics connected to the Sussex family was back in the headlines. What shocked many observers wasn't simply that speculation resurfaced. It was the intensity of the reaction. Because for years, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have repeatedly found themselves dealing with rumors, theories, and allegations surrounding nearly every aspect of their lives. Yet according to royal watchers, this latest controversy touched an especially personal nerve because it involved their children. That's why many supporters immediately came to Harry's defense. They argued that discussions involving Archie and Lilibet should remain off-limits. They argued that children should never become the focus of public controversy. And they accused commentators of fueling speculation that many people believe should have ended long ago. Then came the backlash. The backlash wasn't limited to social media users. Several royal commentators began weighing in. Some defended the right to discuss public controversies involving public figures. Others argued that certain lines should never be crossed. As a result, the debate quickly expanded far beyond the original comments. It became a broader conversation about privacy, media responsibility, public curiosity, and the limits of royal commentary. That's why the situation escalated so rapidly. Then another fascinating detail emerged. Many observers noted that Prince Harry has consistently emphasized one priority above almost everything else: protecting his family. Throughout interviews, documentaries, and public appearances, Harry has repeatedly spoken about the pressures of media attention and the impact it can have on loved ones. Because of that history, supporters believe this latest controversy was always likely to provoke a strong reaction, whether from Harry directly or from people who support him. That's what transformed the story from a simple disagreement into a major royal headline. Then came the speculation. Lots of speculation. Some commentators suggested the controversy reflected a growing divide between supporters and critics of the Sussexes. Others argued it highlighted how difficult it has become to separate legitimate royal commentary from highly personal issues. Every side seemed to have a different interpretation. But everyone agreed on one thing. The story was growing fast. Then another reality became impossible to ignore. Whenever the names Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lilibet appear together in a headline, public interest skyrockets. That's been true for years. And according to analysts, it's one reason controversies involving the Sussex family often spread much faster than other royal stories. People are invested. Supporters are invested. Critics are invested. Media outlets are invested. And as a result, even relatively small developments can quickly become global talking points. That's exactly what happened here. Then came the question dominating royal circles. How would Prince Harry respond? Would he ignore the controversy? Would representatives address it? Or would the situation continue escalating without any official intervention? Nobody knew. But according to royal insiders, the uncertainty only fueled further speculation. And as more commentators joined the conversation, many observers began asking an even bigger question. Was this latest controversy simply another temporary media storm? Or was it part of a much larger battle between the Sussexes and some of their most persistent critics? If there is one reason this controversy has generated such intense reactions, it's because many royal insiders believe it touches on an issue that Prince Harry considers absolutely non-negotiable: his family. Throughout the past several years, Harry has repeatedly spoken about the pressures of public life, media intrusion, and the impact that constant scrutiny can have on those closest to him. That's why supporters immediately predicted that any controversy involving Archie and Lilibet would trigger a far stronger reaction than ordinary royal gossip. According to royal observers, this isn't simply another disagreement between commentators and the Sussexes. It's personal. Very personal. That's what makes the situation so explosive. Because whenever discussion shifts from public actions to private family matters, emotions tend to escalate quickly. And that's exactly what appears to have happened here. Then came the reaction from Sussex supporters. Almost immediately, social media platforms filled with posts defending Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Supporters argued that the children should never become targets of public speculation. They insisted that years of rumors and conspiracy theories have already caused enough damage. And many questioned why these discussions continue resurfacing despite repeated criticism. The backlash became so intense that the original controversy quickly transformed into something much larger. A debate about boundaries. A debate about privacy. A debate about what topics should remain off limits. That's why royal insiders believe the situation struck such a nerve. Then another important factor emerged. Many observers pointed out that Harry's relationship with the media has been shaped by deeply personal experiences. For years, he has spoken about the consequences of relentless public scrutiny. According to supporters, those experiences help explain why he reacts so strongly whenever family matters become public battlegrounds. Whether people agree with Harry or not, many commentators acknowledge that protecting his wife and children has become one of the defining themes of his public life. That's why this latest controversy attracted so much attention. Because many people viewed it through that lens. Not as a simple royal story, but as a family story. Then came another fascinating development. Some royal experts argued that the controversy highlights a larger issue affecting modern royalty: the line between public interest and private life. Where does one end? Where does the other begin? It's a question that has followed the royal family for generations. And according to commentators, it remains just as complicated today. Supporters of the Sussexes argue that certain subjects should remain completely private. Critics counter that public figures inevitably face public scrutiny. The result is an endless debate with no easy answers. That's exactly why this story spread so quickly. Because it sits directly at the intersection of those competing viewpoints. Then came the speculation about Tom Bower and Lady C themselves. As the controversy grew, supporters and critics began examining their roles in the discussion. Some defended them as commentators expressing opinions. Others accused them of fueling unnecessary controversy. The disagreement only intensified as more voices entered the conversation. And with every new reaction, the story became bigger. Then another reality became impossible to ignore. The Sussex story remains one of the most polarizing narratives in modern royal history. People rarely sit in the middle. They tend to choose sides. And once they choose sides, every new controversy becomes another battleground. That's exactly what happened here. For supporters, the issue became protecting Archie and Lilibet. For critics, the issue became freedom of discussion. For commentators, the issue became media responsibility. And for the public, the entire situation became another chapter in the ongoing battle between the Sussexes and their most vocal critics. Then came perhaps the most revealing question of all. Why do these controversies keep returning? Why do stories involving Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lilibet continue generating such extraordinary attention? According to royal insiders, the answer may be simpler than people realize. Because beneath every headline lies a much bigger conflict. A conflict involving trust, reputation, public perception, and competing versions of the same story. And according to many observers, that larger conflict is exactly what makes this controversy far more significant than it first appears. The longer this controversy continues, the more it becomes clear that the real battle may not be between Prince Harry and any individual commentator at all. According to royal observers, the bigger conflict is happening between two groups that have been clashing for years: Sussex supporters and the network of royal commentators who regularly discuss Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lilibet. And according to many insiders, this latest dispute is simply the newest chapter in a war that shows no sign of ending. That's why the reaction became so intense. The moment the controversy appeared online, supporters of Prince Harry immediately pushed back. They accused commentators of crossing boundaries. They accused critics of keeping old controversies alive. And they argued that certain topics should never become public debates. Meanwhile, critics responded with arguments of their own. They insisted that public figures inevitably face public scrutiny. They argued that commentators have the right to discuss matters generating public interest. And they accused Sussex supporters of trying to silence criticism. As a result, the story rapidly evolved into something much bigger than its original subject. It became another front in a much larger conflict. Then came the social media explosion. X, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Every platform became a battlefield. Supporters posted lengthy defenses of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Critics countered with videos, articles, and commentary. Thousands of users joined the discussion. Millions of views followed. And with every passing hour, the controversy grew larger. That's why royal insiders say these situations often take on a life of their own. Because once social media becomes involved, the story stops belonging to the original participants. It belongs to everyone. Then another fascinating reality emerged. Many observers believe Prince Harry has become one of the most polarizing figures in modern royal history. People tend to have strong opinions about him. Very strong opinions. Some view him as someone fighting to protect his family. Others view him as someone who has repeatedly challenged the institution he was born into. Regardless of which perspective people hold, one fact remains undeniable. Harry generates attention. Massive attention. That's why every controversy connected to him quickly becomes international news. Then came the role of Tom Bower and Lady C. For years, both have been among the most recognizable royal commentators discussing the Sussexes. Supporters of the Sussexes often criticize them. Critics of the Sussexes often support them. As a result, any controversy involving their names automatically attracts enormous interest. That's exactly what happened here. The moment their names became connected to the discussion, the story gained momentum. And once momentum builds in royal media, it becomes difficult to stop. Then another revealing pattern appeared. Many commentators noted that every major Sussex controversy now follows a familiar formula. A comment is made. A reaction follows. Supporters respond. Critics respond. Social media explodes. And before long, the debate becomes larger than the original issue itself. That's precisely what appears to have happened again. Then came perhaps the most important realization. This controversy isn't really about one statement. It's not really about one commentator. And it's not really about one rumor. It's about trust. Supporters trust one version of events. Critics trust another. Commentators present competing narratives. And the public is left trying to determine which interpretation feels most convincing. That's why emotions run so high. Because people aren't simply defending opinions. They are defending worldviews. That's what makes every Sussex controversy feel so much bigger than an ordinary celebrity story. Then another question started circulating among royal insiders. Can this cycle ever be broken? Can the endless conflict between Sussex supporters and critics ever truly end? Many experts are skeptical. Because as long as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle remain major public figures, public debate will continue. And where debate exists, controversy often follows. Which means stories like this are unlikely to disappear anytime soon. In fact, according to many observers, the next phase of this controversy may be the most dramatic yet. Because attention is now shifting away from the commentators and toward a much bigger issue. What impact do these recurring controversies have on Prince Harry's public image? And according to royal experts, the answer may surprise a lot of people. As strange as it may sound, not everyone believes this controversy hurts Prince Harry's image. In fact, according to some royal commentators, the backlash directed toward discussions involving Archie and Lilibet may actually strengthen support for Harry among people who already sympathize with him. That's because, in the eyes of many supporters, the latest controversy reinforces a narrative that has followed Harry for years, a father determined to protect his family no matter the cost. That's why the reaction has been so emotional. Supporters aren't simply seeing another royal headline. They are seeing confirmation of what they've believed all along. They see a man who has repeatedly spoken about privacy. A man who has repeatedly warned about media intrusion. A man who has repeatedly insisted that his children deserve protection from public scrutiny. Whether people agree with Harry or not, many supporters argue that this latest controversy fits perfectly into that story. And that's why they rallied behind him so quickly. Then came the flood of supportive comments. Across social media, thousands of users defended Prince Harry. Many argued that the controversy proved exactly why Harry left royal life in the first place. Others suggested it demonstrated the pressures he has complained about for years. And some claimed the situation would only increase sympathy for the Sussex family. That's what surprised many observers. Because while critics expected the story to create problems for Harry, some experts believe it may have had the opposite effect. Then another fascinating dynamic emerged. Every major controversy involving Harry and Meghan Markle tends to activate two completely different audiences. One audience becomes more critical. The other becomes more supportive. Rarely do people change sides. Instead, existing beliefs often become stronger. That's why stories involving the Sussexes generate such intense reactions. People aren't simply evaluating new information. They are filtering that information through opinions they already hold. And according to analysts, that's exactly what's happening here. Then came the argument many supporters found most persuasive. They pointed out that regardless of someone's opinion of Prince Harry, most people understand a parent's desire to protect their children. That theme resonates far beyond royal politics, far beyond celebrity culture, far beyond media debates. It's something millions of people can relate to. That's why some experts believe Harry benefits whenever the conversation shifts toward family rather than royal politics. Because family issues often create empathy. And empathy can be powerful. Then another reality became impossible to ignore. The controversy once again placed Harry at the center of the global conversation. Love him or criticize him, people were talking about him. News outlets covered the story. Royal channels discussed it. Commentators debated it. Supporters defended him. Critics challenged him. And through it all, Prince Harry remained one of the most talked about figures in the royal world. That's why some analysts believe the story may ultimately reinforce his public identity rather than damage it. Because for many supporters, the controversy highlights the very themes Harry has emphasized for years. Privacy, family, protection, responsibility. Then came perhaps the most surprising observation of all. Some royal insiders believe controversies like this may actually deepen the divide between Harry's supporters and his critics. Instead of bringing people closer together, they push them further apart. Supporters become more loyal. Critics become more skeptical. And the debate becomes even more polarized. That's why this story feels so significant. Because it isn't just about one controversy. It's about how people interpret Prince Harry's role in the broader royal story. Then another question started dominating royal discussions. If this controversy strengthens Harry among supporters, what impact does it have on the royal family itself? How do ongoing battles between commentators, critics, and Sussex supporters affect the wider monarchy? According to royal experts, the answer could be much more complicated than anyone realizes. And that brings us to the most explosive phase of the story yet. As the debate surrounding Prince Harry, Tom Bower, Lady C, Archie, and Lilibet continued growing, royal insiders began focusing on a much bigger question. What does this controversy mean for the monarchy itself? Because according to many observers, the issue is no longer confined to a disagreement between commentators and the Sussex camp. Instead, it has become part of a larger conversation about the future image of the royal family and how modern royal stories are consumed by the public. That's why some experts believe the consequences could stretch far beyond the immediate headlines. Every major controversy involving Prince Harry seems to create a ripple effect. Supporters react. Critics react. Media outlets react. And eventually the wider institution becomes part of the discussion whether it wants to or not. That's exactly what appears to be happening again. Then came another fascinating observation. Many royal commentators argue that the monarchy faces a unique challenge in the digital age. In previous generations, stories moved more slowly. Rumors spread through newspapers. Commentary spread through television. Public reaction took time. Today, everything happens instantly. A single comment can reach millions of people within minutes. A viral video can generate worldwide attention overnight. And a controversy can grow larger than anyone expected before official responses are even considered. That's why insiders believe stories like this create challenges not only for Prince Harry, but also for the broader royal family. Because public perception is constantly evolving. Then another issue emerged. Many observers believe ongoing Sussex controversies continue shaping how younger audiences view the monarchy. For some people, stories involving Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lilibet are now their primary connection to royal news. That means every new controversy influences public understanding of the institution itself. Supporters see one version of events. Critics see another. And the monarchy often finds itself caught somewhere in the middle. That's why royal insiders are paying close attention. Because perception matters. Perhaps more than ever before. Then came the question of unity. For years, royal supporters have hoped that tensions between different branches of the family might eventually ease. But controversies like this often appear to move things in the opposite direction. Every new dispute creates fresh headlines. Every new headline creates fresh debate. And every new debate reminds people of divisions that many hoped would fade over time. According to some experts, that's one reason this latest controversy attracted so much attention. People aren't simply discussing one issue. They are discussing what it represents. A continuing struggle between competing narratives about the Sussex story. Then another surprising reality became impossible to ignore. Despite years of controversy, public interest in Prince Harry remains extraordinarily strong. That's important because it means stories involving Harry continue drawing attention away from almost everything else. Major royal events happen. Public engagements happen. Institutional announcements happen. Yet controversies connected to Harry frequently dominate headlines. According to analysts, that's a remarkable level of influence. And it's one reason why every new Sussex-related story attracts so much scrutiny. Then came perhaps the most significant concern of all. Many insiders worry that endless controversy can create fatigue. Not just for supporters. Not just for critics. But for the public overall. When every month brings another dispute, another debate, another headline, some people eventually stop paying attention to the details and focus only on the conflict. That's a challenge for everyone involved. The Sussexes, the commentators, the media, and the monarchy itself. Because once public discussion becomes dominated by conflict, meaningful conversations become harder to have. Then another theory started circulating among royal observers. Some believe the institution will increasingly focus on future generations rather than past disagreements. King Charles, Prince William, Prince George, and eventually even discussions involving Archie and Lilibet. According to supporters of this theory, the monarchy's long-term survival depends on looking forward rather than constantly revisiting old battles. That's why they view controversies like this as important but temporary. The headlines may be dramatic. The arguments may be intense. But the future will ultimately be shaped by what comes next. Not what happened yesterday. And according to many insiders, that future may arrive sooner than people expect. Because the final chapter of this controversy may not be about commentators, rumors, or public arguments at all. It may be about how history eventually remembers the entire Sussex era. As the latest controversy involving Prince Harry, Tom Bower, Lady C, Archie, and Lilibet continues generating headlines, a growing number of royal experts are beginning to ask a fascinating question. What if history ultimately views this entire situation very differently than the people living through it today? It's a question that may sound strange at first. After all, emotions are running high. Opinions are deeply divided. Supporters and critics remain locked in constant disagreement. But according to historians and long-time royal observers, some of the biggest royal controversies in history looked very different years later than they did at the time. That's why many experts are urging caution. Because while today's headlines feel enormous, history often focuses on different things. Then came an important observation. Most major royal scandals eventually shrink when viewed through the lens of time. The arguments that once dominated newspapers fade. The personalities change. The public moves on. And future generations often focus on broader themes rather than individual controversies. According to some commentators, that may eventually happen with the Sussex story as well. Not because people will forget it, but because they may interpret it differently. Then another fascinating possibility emerged. Many experts believe future discussions about Prince Harry may focus less on individual controversies and more on larger questions. Questions about privacy. Questions about media attention. Questions about the relationship between modern public figures and personal boundaries. Those themes extend far beyond the royal family. And according to observers, they may become central to how Harry's story is remembered. That's why some analysts believe the current controversy could eventually be viewed as part of a much bigger narrative. A narrative about changing expectations in the modern media age. Then came the discussion about Archie and Lilibet. Many experts argue that future generations may find today's arguments difficult to understand. Why? Because they will know the eventual outcome. They will know how relationships evolved. They will know what happened next. And that knowledge often changes how people interpret historical events. That's why some observers believe the most important chapters involving Archie and Lilibet haven't even been written yet. Their future. Their choices. Their relationships. Those developments may ultimately shape how today's controversies are remembered. Then another reality became impossible to ignore. The story of Prince Harry has never been simple. To supporters, he is someone who chose family over tradition. To critics, he is someone who challenged the institution he was born into. To historians, he may eventually become something else entirely. A figure representing a period of major transition within the monarchy. That's why experts caution against making definitive judgments too quickly. History rarely follows the script people expect. Then came perhaps the most powerful observation of all. Every generation rewrites the royal story. Each era chooses different heroes, different villains, different lessons, different interpretations. And according to many royal experts, the Sussex era will be no different. Future audiences may focus on completely different aspects of the story than today's audiences do. That's why controversies that seem overwhelming now may eventually become footnotes in a much larger narrative. Then attention returned to King Charles, Prince William, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lilibet. Because regardless of opinions, one fact remains undeniable. Their story has become one of the defining royal narratives of the modern era. A story involving family, duty, change, conflict, legacy. And according to experts, those themes will continue shaping public discussion for years to come. That's why the latest controversy feels so significant. Not necessarily because of the claims themselves, but because it reflects the larger struggle over how this chapter of royal history will ultimately be remembered. Then came the final conclusion. Nobody knows exactly how history will judge this moment. Nobody knows which narratives will survive. Nobody knows which controversies will matter decades from now. But according to royal observers, one thing is certain. The story of Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lilibet remains one of the most closely watched family stories in the world. And as long as that remains true, every new controversy will continue attracting extraordinary attention. Because in the world of royalty, Today's headline is often just the beginning of tomorrow's history. What do you think? Did Tom Bower and Lady C go too far, or are they simply commenting on issues that attract public interest? Do you believe Prince Harry is justified in fiercely defending his family? And how do you think history will ultimately view the entire Sussex story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this royal analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more updates on Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, King Charles, Prince William, Archie, Lilibet, and all the latest royal family developments.